No one wakes up and says, "Today, I'll ruin everything." But the truth is, most people don't fall in one grand moment. They slip, slowly, quietly, one small decision at a time. And by the time they realize what's happening, the damage is already done. There's a harsh truth that no one wants to say out loud. Some married women become the easiest to fall. Not because they're broken or bad or disloyal, but because they're human. Because connection is oxygen. And when the air gets thin, people start gasping wherever they can. So how does it happen? How does a woman who vowed loyalty end up lost in someone else's world? Let's start with what no one wants to admit. The invisible void. At the start of a marriage, love is loud. You stay up talking for hours. Every touch feels electric. You see each other. But then life shows up. Bills, kids, work, routine. And slowly, love gets quieter. What used to be passion becomes paperwork. Deep conversations turn into grocery lists. Shared dreams turn into split responsibilities. And through all of it, she starts to feel invisible. Not unloved, just unseen. She's no longer the woman who lights up a room. She's the scheduler, the caretaker, the background. But then, something shifts. A stranger smiles. A coworker listens. A friend texts a little too often. It's innocent at first, but it feels like something she hasn't felt in years. Suddenly someone sees her again, and that spark, it feels like oxygen. The justification loop. You'd think that guilt would stop someone in their tracks, but the human mind doesn't work that way. We're wired to protect ourselves from pain, from shame, from the truth. So the moment her heart flutters for someone who isn't her husband, the justifications begin. It's just talking. Everyone flirts a little. He doesn't even notice me anymore. It's not cheating, not really. These thoughts aren't evil. They're defensive. They're how the mind softens the blow of betrayal before it even happens. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance, that war between what we believe and what we're doing. And instead of facing that war, we rewrite the story. This isn't wrong. I deserve to feel good again. And just like that, the line starts to blur. Because once you believe your actions are justified, there's no reason to stop. When feelings become fuel, it's not about the man. It's about how he makes her feel alive, interesting, wanted. And for someone who's been living in silence, those feelings are addictive. Literally. Neuroscience shows us that romantic attraction lights up the same areas of the brain as drug addiction. The dopamine rush of a new connection is intoxicating, and just like any high, she keeps coming back for more. First, it's just a message. Then it's a secret. Then it's a plan. And each time she steps a little further, it feels a little more normal. Until one day, she's doing things she swore she'd never do. Not because she's evil, because she's emotionally hooked. The switch. Here's the moment no one talks about. When the marriage becomes the affair, and the affair becomes the relationship. She may still live under the same roof, still smile in family photos, still cook dinner. But in her heart, she's somewhere else. Her husband becomes the stranger, the other man becomes the connection. And when that shift happens, the emotional betrayal is already complete, even if nothing physical ever happened. Because loyalty isn't just about what you do with your body, it's about what you do with your soul. The point of no return, the scariest part, she didn't even see it coming. There's a saying in psychology, the chains of habit are too light to be felt until they're too heavy to break. That's how it happens. The first message was hard. The second was easier. The fifth felt normal. Now she's lying without blinking, covering her tracks, planning her days around someone else, living a second life. And every time she says, "This is the last time," she goes back, because it's not about him anymore. It's about what he represents. Freedom, excitement, escape, but mostly a version of herself she misses. The truth no one wants to hear. So why are some married women the easiest to fall? Because they're not chasing another man. They're chasing a feeling of being alive, being desired, being important. And once they taste that, after years of silence, they'll do anything to keep it. Not because they're cruel, not because they're heartless, but because they've convinced themselves that what they've found is something they'll never get back at home. The power of seeing clearly. If you understand this, truly understand it, you gain power. The power to see the cracks before they shatter. The power to recognize the signs in someone you love. The power to stop your own slow fall before you can't get back up. Because emotional affairs don't start with seduction. They start with silence. They start when someone feels invisible. And if you want to protect your relationship, you don't fight for loyalty, you fight for connection. Because people don't leave when they're unhappy. They leave when they feel unseen.